How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. To recap last night's game between the Yankees and the Guardians, this is game two of a three-game set in the Bronx. Not really much to recap with this game. The Yankees ended up losing this game by a final score of 4-0 behind very good pitching of the Guardians. They put up a three-spot in the first inning off of Clark Schmidt, and the Yankees just really could not get anything going offensively. They finished last night with 5 hits. They were 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. They left a total of 6 guys on base last night. A few double plays by Anthony Volpe, DJ LeMahieu, and Paul Goldschmidt. Ben Rice had 2 hits. Aaron Judge had 2 hits and a couple of strikeouts. Cody Bellinger had a double in this game. Ground rule double, I should say. But they just couldn't get anything going. They struck out 10 times. Luis L. Ortiz pitched very well for the Guardians last night, improving to 3-6 on the season. But in his last 7 starts, he's 1-3, but he's pitching to a 2.75 ERA. And the bullpen for the Guardians did its job. Like I said, they had a 3-spot in the first inning. Clark Schmidt just couldn't get anybody out. First batter of the game, Stephen Kwan walks. Then Angel Martinez homers, his 4th homer of the season to make it 2-0. Then Jose Ramirez doubled, and then Daniel Schneemann doubled him in, and that made it 3-0 at that point. And then they tacked on a run. That was, I believe, that was in the top of the 8th. Kyle Manzardo off of Fernando Cruz, who made his return last night. He surrendered the homer. That was Manzardo's 11th homer of the season. That made it 4-0. The Yankees, they did get a couple guys on base. Ben Rice singled. Cody Bellinger hit the ground rule double, like I said, but Paul Goldschmidt and Jazz Chisholm both struck out. And that was basically it. Not really much to take away from this game in terms of, anything positive, really. The Yankees offense just couldn't do it. Actually, Clark Schmidt, despite the rough first inning, he did turn in a solid outing. He did get into the 6th inning. He struck out 8 guys. You would have liked to maybe have seen him, not pitch like that in the first inning, but that's what he did. But he settled in. The bullpen didn't really surrender anything else other than the home run to Manzardo. But, yeah, this is what happens. This is baseball, guys. The Yankees' offense is not going to be hitting every single night on all cylinders. There's going to be nights like that where they just can't get the bats going. And this is actually the second time that the Yankees have been shut out this season. But it's not something that we should hit the panic button for. Again, anytime the Yankees lose, you're going to hear and see fans overreacting on social media. Oh, you got to fire Boone, you got to fire Cashman. Look, you don't want this to snowball. That's what I have been saying since the Dodgers series. You don't want things like this to snowball and continue, which I don't think it's going to at this moment. I think there are some guys that have started to slow down a bit. Cody Bellinger put together a good couple of weeks, but he's kind of, come back down to earth. He's kind of crashed back down to earth. He really hasn't been doing well these last couple games, or really this last week. After that, the 15-game hitting streak he had. But you expect him to pick it up offensively. Paul Goldschmidt, I think, is another guy that's kind of slowing down a little bit, but I'm not anticipating him falling off a cliff. I think he'll get it going once again. Jazz Chisholm is just getting back. He did have a good game on Tuesday. So, we'll see what he does tonight. Anthony Volpe did come up in a couple of big spots and wasn't able to deliver. Aaron Judge, look, he's not going to be great every single night. He had a couple hits last night, a couple of strikeouts, but I'm going to say that he goes yard tonight. I'll give you a prediction there. And you know what? All the Yankees got to do is take the series. Just keep taking series. It's tied 1 game apiece in this series, but you got your best starter taking the mound tonight in Max Fried, who's coming off of his worst start of the year against the Dodgers. I don't think Fried is going to put together back-to-back performances similar to, the start on over the weekend against the Dodgers. I think he's going to look like the Max Fried that we saw prior to that game. I think the Yankees will win tonight. And then after that, you will have the series coming up with the Red Sox. I'll be at the game tomorrow night. Not sure if a recap will be tomorrow because I will be traveling, but I will get it out at some point. I'll get it out at some point. If not, it'll be paired up with the series with the Red Sox. So I will be doing the recap of the Red Sox series on Monday. So make sure to look out for that. And there may or may not be a recap for the final game of this 3-game set with the Guardians tomorrow. Because I like to do the recaps the following day, which we try to keep that schedule going. But look, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about right now with this team. They're still playing good ball. Yeah, the offense may be slowing down just a bit, but like I've been saying, you don't want it to snowball. And right now, the Yankees have a 5.5-game lead up on the Rays and the Blue Jays in the American League East, and they currently hold the second best record in the American League behind the Detroit Tigers, who won again last night. They're the first team to 40 wins. They are 41-22 on the season. And I think right now, when you look at the landscape of the American League, just the American League specifically, because we know the National League is a gauntlet, I think that the Tigers are the biggest threat to the Yankees right now to get themselves back to the World Series. It's the Tigers. And the Tigers in the early 2010s, that was the team that knocked them out constantly. 2011, 2012, they're a problem. They are a problem. And they even knocked them out back in, I think it was 2006, if I'm not mistaken. So the Yankees have had a problem with the Tigers in the postseason. But that's ways away. But I just wanted to bring that to light. I actually also, we'll talk about another series going on a little bit, the other New York team, because, again, there wasn't a lot of action last night in the Yankees-Guardians game. I have been watching the Mets-Dodgers series, and other than the second game, which the Mets unfortunately ended up blowing in the later innings, and the Dodgers won in walk-off fashion, Mets have played the Dodgers well this year. They've won this with last night's win. Got a good performance out of Griffin Canning. Couple of home runs from Pete Alonso. The Mets won the season series against the Dodgers. They won again last night. And, that's the other team that the Dodgers knocked off last year to get to the World Series. And eventually they won the World Series. But so far, Mets have played them good. They improved to 39-23 on the season. Griffin Canning is now 6-2 with a 2.9 ERA. How about his season? That's another unsung hero of this Mets season so far. Because coming into this year, with the pitching that the Mets had, you didn't know how it was going to work. But he's pitched well. Kodai Senga's pitched well. Clay Holmes has looked good. The bullpen's been solid. And Lindor's gotten off to a really good start. Alonso, he kind of slowed down a little bit, but, got a couple of 3-run homers last night, like I said. So that's good to see. And Juan Soto's starting to get it going. You saw the Soto shuffle last night. And also, I was watching it. They were competing to see who would, flip the bottle. And Soto did it in one try. And he was all smiles in the dugout. So I was sitting there going, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. He's doing all right with the Mets. Because compared to how we saw him in the Subway Series, where he was just very glum, as people use that word, it's a guy that's struggling. It was a guy that was struggling, and he's slowly starting to get out of it. The OPS is still hovering around 800. You want to see the average get up, but, the long ball's coming back. He's driving in runs. So he's slowly starting to get out of it. And, when you see the Soto shuffle, he's in a better place. So, look, it's a new team. It's a new team. And we talked about this. This is his fourth team that he's played for. And he's not even 30 yet. So, but this is going to be his home for the foreseeable future. But, yeah, I mean, if the Mets can get him going, that only makes their offense even more dangerous with the three guys at the top. They got a three-headed monster up there if they can get everybody going. But actually, the batting order they have, I think last night they had Nimmo batting second, They had Lindor leading off. Yeah, so they had Lindor leading off, then Nimmo batting second, Soto batting third, and he had 3 more walks last night. And Alonso, like I said, actually no, wasn't a 3-run homer. I think it was a two. Yeah, it was a 2-run homer. Then the one in the later inning, in the 8th inning, was a 3-run homer. But and the Mets pitching did a good job against Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. They Betts went 0 for 4 last night. Freddie Freeman went 0 for 3. Ohtani had a couple of hits. So look, give the Mets credit. They are a very good team, and right now they hold the best record in the National League. So they were scuffling a little bit. They dropped out of first place. The Phillies were playing really well, but then the Phillies dropped a couple games. Mets surpassed them for first place again, and now once again they hold the best record in the NL East and in first place, and they got the best record right now. They're half game up on the Cubs for the best record in the National League. Like I said, National League is a gauntlet. It's really good. So I'm happy that the Yankees play in the American League because being in the National League is very tough. And looking at the wild cards too. The Phillies right now hold the top wild card spot at 37 and 24. You got the Padres at 35 and 25. The Cardinals and the Giants are both tied for the final wild card spot. Then you got the Brewers, who are 5 games over 500. They're 34 and 29. They're a half game back. The Diamondbacks are 3 games back at 31 and 31. The Reds are 30 and 33. They're 4.5 games back. Even the Nationals are 4.5 games back. And the Braves, they've lost 4 in a row. They got Ronald Acuna back, and you thought they were going to take off, but that has not been the case. And they actually played earlier today, and they gave up 8 runs in the final 2 innings, and they end up losing to the Diamondbacks 11-10. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow there. Braves are not looking so good right now, and I had them winning the National League East, but right now that does not look like that's happening. Right now it looks like it's going to come down to the Mets or the Phillies, and I will be seeing those teams live in action in a couple of weeks when I head down to Philadelphia. So looking forward to that. And then over in the American League, you got the Tigers right now. They hold the best record in the American League. Yankees are second. The Astros right now are in first place. They surpassed the Mariners for the time being, half game up. They're 33 and 28. Then you got the Twins, who got the top wild card spot. They've been playing some good ball as of late after getting off to a tough start. You got the Guardians right behind them. You got the Mariners controlling the third wild card spot. And then you got 3 teams that are half game back of that third wild card spot. You got the Royals, you got the Rays, you got the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, who we will be seeing this weekend. They are 4 games back. The Rangers are 4 games back. The Angels are 4.5 games back. Orioles, 8 back, but they are 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they've won 5 in a row. So are they starting to get themselves back in the conversation? We'll see. The A's, they were hovering around 500. Then they lost 10 in a row recently, and now they've gone on another long losing streak. They've lost 9 in a row. They are 10.5 games back. Then you got the White Sox, who are 14 games back. So that's a little update on the standings. So Yankees go for the series win tonight. Back to the Yankees. They go for the series win tonight. They got their ace on the mound in Max Fried. I think they'll win tonight, and I think that Judge will go yard. How about that? But let me know what you guys think about the current MLB landscape, how the Yankees are doing. We're still waiting on some updates. Giancarlo Stanton could be beginning a rehab assignment soon, so it'll be great to get him back in the lineup. And, the fans could give him a standing ovation for the postseason run that he went on last year. But, look, don't overreact to the loss last night. I'm going to say it again. If it snowballs, if the Yankees go on a slide that lasts several weeks, then you can complain. But it's just one game. It's baseball. That's baseball, Susan, as John Sterling would always say. It happens. The Yankees are not going to win every single game. It's a long season. They're not going to, win every single game from here on out. But, yeah, you would have liked to have seen them show a little bit of life last night. Because the way they've been playing as of late, the Dodgers series is kind of an outlier because, they lost the middle game 18-2. But the way they've been playing, when they're losing and they're within, 2 to 3 runs, you expect them to come back and show some fight. They really didn't show any fight last night. But you got to give credit to the Guardians. The Guardians have a good pitching staff. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So let's hope for a better game tonight. Again, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. I think what we're going to do is, since the Knicks are over, I'm going to see if Ben and I will recap the NBA Finals each game like we were doing with the Knicks. That's starting tonight. I actually did tune in and watch the Stanley Cup last night. I was kind of sidetracked because I was also working during that time, but what a great game last night. The Oilers come out right away and they score a goal, but then the Panthers go up 3-1. The Oilers end up coming back and then they win in overtime. Stanley Cup is going to be very good. If you're not a huge hockey fan, you should still try to check it out because these are the two best teams in hockey, and it's a rematch from last year, and that was a great series too. So the way that game went last night, it's going to be a good Stanley Cup. So yeah, you got that going on. You got the NBA Finals that starts tonight between the Thunder and the Pacers. Looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm going to see if we can also recap those games as well. You might not get a recap of Game 1 tomorrow, but you'll definitely get a recap of what's been going on in the series when we come back on Monday. But yeah, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Like I was saying, make sure to check us out on TikTok also. And if you want to listen to us on the go, we're also on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. So until next time, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.